Hey guys, and welcome to Little Black Book 91. Hold on a minute. Where is this? Not up in the space. There we go. Listen, welcome to Little Black Book 91. We're talking to you guys about Put a Ring on It. We're going to be dealing with Otis and Charly, and I want to break down their relationship because there were some interesting things that were happening. I've titled it about domineering his own particular wife, and the reason why is because of there was a scene between himself and Charly after she came back from the date, and I really wasn't feeling it. It was really something that I don't like seeing on my screen. I don't like seeing that kind of behavior. And what he did, if you're unaware, you would have seen it in the clip, was that as soon as she came back from the date, he threw the flowers in the bin. All right, cool. But before it chopped off to the next scene, he says, "Go take a shower." And I really was really annoyed with that, because what I saw there in that moment was someone who was trying to break their partner using trying to make them feel disgusting, dirty, ugly about themselves, trying to make them feel bad about themselves, to hopefully break them in a way that will make you be seen as somebody who is morally superior, and that's a tactic of what I call, in a sense, it's a manipulative tactic. And obviously, I haven't seen him much in all the other episodes. I need to see those things. But if there are other aspects of him that he does this as well, we've got to really ask some really serious questions as to whether this is going to lead to the big A. You already know what it is. I always say that it can lead to the big A. But for now, it's manipulative. It's a manipulative behavior to do something like that, where you twist the person's mind, getting them to feel like they are dirty, ugly, question their morality, question their righteousness and their cleanliness even as well, in terms of what's happened to them. And you got to be very, very careful with those kind of things. So yeah, listen, before we go anywhere, make sure you like it, you share, you subscribe, you click on that bell button for notification, the up, lows. And for those of you who are returnees, will know what it is, baby. You got the minerals, you got the minerals. Stay hydrated, because the streets out there, they are hot. Hold on 2 seconds. Let me just do this real quick. Fantastic, because people keep messaging me and they keep calling me. All right, let's talk about something first of all. I want to talk about that actual date again. The first thing that we want to talk about is the joke about the joke that was made about tracking. Was not a joke. Okay, although it was a joke, it was not a joke. I always tell people, you gotta be very careful what kind of jokes you got to be very, very careful what kind of jokes you make, because a lot of times the jokes that we make, a part of it is living in some area of truth. And what I saw from Otis later on with the whole joke, the whole comment about not eating the salmon, not allowed now, taking, basically not giving her no food because you're going to cook for yourself now. Later on, throwing the flowers in the bin, then saying she's basically implying that she's not clean. How can I now look at that joke and that joke that you made about, basically tracking her phone, and not consider that to be actually somewhere true? Because you're exhibiting right now controlling behavior. Therefore, I must look at the situation a little bit more differently than I looked at it previously. Right? That was the first thing that I saw, and I said, I'm not really feeling this. I'm not sure where this is going, and I'm sure where it's going. I don't like where it's going, and I hope he's not going there. That was what I was thinking at the time. Okay. And then, even when the gentleman met her come in, we saw him standing guard, swiping her hand, swiping his hand away from her. And it was like, you're doing the absolute most. Now, I want to hope my hearts of heart that he's kind of joking and playing up more than he needs to for the camera. But I've learned that oftentimes this is not people playing up. This is really how they feel, and this is how they really move. Now, I totally get why he may feel, some way, insecure in this moment. I'm not asking him to feel secure. I'm not asking him to feel, extravagant about the fact that his missus is getting taken on a date. What I am asking for is that you have an aspect of control. This is so important when I talk about men and women specifically, but men specifically, when I talk about controlling your behavior. You can look, in this moment, nobody wants to seem weak and say, listen, hey, I'm going to be real with you. Look, I don't like the fact you're going on this date, and it's kind of scary for me, but I trust you. That's it. That's all that needs to be said, because you decided to come on the show. So But you realize the show, what it does is the wounds that are emotional, that haven't been sorted, the wounds that haven't been healed, the wounds that haven't been sewn up, the wounds that haven't been stitched. When the show gets going, it puts pressure on those wounds, and the real beastly behavior begins to show. And this is why healing is so important for a lot of people, because without the healing, they're going to act a fool. All right. Number three, you know, uh, I mean, the actual date that they had, I felt like, um, I felt like the actual date that they had, it wasn't a crazy date. I think they got on well. They were, pretty amicable. They were nice together. She was enjoying herself. She's a sportsman. He's a sportsman. The chat was kind of going cool, but it was nothing. There was no spark there, and I think that's clear. But what was interesting is something I picked out that she said. She said she wants to be Monica Seles, all right, because she's quiet on the court, but she wants to be loud on the court like this woman. And I really resonated with that comment because it screams something else. You want to be loud in your relationship. You want to set good boundaries. You want to let your partner know, I don't like this, and he should respect that. But you don't have that voice. That's why you want to be Monica Seles. It's not just being on the court, it's what you also do in person in your relationship. You're unable to be louder in your relationship. You feel quenched, you feel quiet, you feel like your voice is not being heard. And you'd wish to be like Monica Seles, not just on the court, but also, I believe, in the relationship. So I believe that she chose that person for a real reason. I think there's a greater aspect to that as well. Okay. She said that for a partner as well, she wants her best friend, but doesn't want someone telling her what to do. And I think, again, that highlights to what she's dealing with her partner right now. With her partner, she's dealing with a person who is telling her what to do. He's a very assertive young man, and he's a very astute young man. He's smart. He's not dumb. He knows exactly what he's doing. And he understands that he wants to be the traditional male. No problem at all. But there is a way to lead that doesn't look like you're dragging the person. There's a way to lead that doesn't look like you're trying to force the person. There's a way to lead that doesn't look like you're trying to take completely over this particular person. This is so important, right? Because in a relationship, it's about free will. I've got to be able to freely love you. I can't be dragged over that line, right? I can't be dragged over the line. Stay hydrated. And that is what I think she's feeling a little bit here in a relationship, that when she doesn't agree, she's being dragged to his point of view. And in a relationship, you can't be dragging people if you want a healthy relationship without resentment being left at the end, So having a best friend is about having good communications, about being able to exchange ideas. This is what we're talking about: mental intimacy, being able to exchange ideas and thoughts without a fear of being rebuked or being laughed at, or being rebuffed. This is important. That leads oftentimes to emotional intimacy as well, where we can share our emotions. Can I do that with you? That's why oftentimes people want a best friend. It's like, can I do that with you? Can I share that with you? And when we don't have that, we feel unfulfilled, and we feel like we're not able to be as vulnerable as we need to be, and thus we have to keep ourselves to ourselves, and we don't feel fulfilled in a relationship as well. Talking about the actual post-length date when she comes back, I'll be very honest with you. Accepting the flowers when you know that you're going back home is a no-no. Listen, say it's insecure, say whatever. It's stupid. Just don't do it. Like I don't get this. Like, if you're trying to start war, this is how to start war, right? If you want to start war, this is how you start war. It's not the flowers itself; it's what it means and what it signifies. You accepting a gift from somebody who's trying to pursue you or trying to get to know you. Can you deep it, blood? Can you deep it? Don't be silly. Don't be mad. Don't be crazy. Let's be really honest now. Like, let's not lie to ourselves. Someone who's pursuing you bought you no, take this outside of this. Someone who's pursuing you bought you a gift, gave it to you. So take it with you, right? And you now bring that gift into your home. It's not only a physical act, it's an emotional act, it's a mental act. Is a spiritual act. You got to be very careful what you accept. You see, this is all about boundaries. And look, if a girl that if I knew a girl was trying to pursue me, and I had a girl, and this girl said she bought me something, right? She bought me something. I have to give that. I'm giving that thing back because it's what it signifies. If I want to be respectful to my partner, I'm not going to accept this gift, no matter how great it is, because it's what the gift signifies. If this woman was cool and a friend, different, but you're trying to pursue me, it's now a disrespect to my partner to accept it. Right now, if you buy me a Jeep, I'm gonna tell my missus you can ride shotgun in this car, baby. Right? Of course. But certain gifts have sentimental value and a different type of value to them, right? We shouldn't be accepting gifts from people that are trying to actively pursue us. That's just a level of madness. And maybe you and your partner can work it out and you're cool with that. But a lot of people will not be cool with it, really and truly, right? When they find out it's a betrayal that can happen to a person. Just don't do it. But that being said, that does not warrant what she gets next, right? Okay. She should know better, but that doesn't warrant what happens next, all right? Now, she didn't want to back down either because he was getting angry, and anger begets anger. I want to make you know as well for people in relationships, anger begets anger. If your partner's angry, you're going to be angry too. Anger has a place. It has a place, but it's not when you're trying to. If you want to let someone know you're hurt, let them know you're hurt. If you're frustrated, let them know you're frustrated. But when we exercise our anger, rather than really trying to communicate verbally, we are going to cause a ruckus because people get offended and they feel disrespected real quick. Okay. So what he could have communicated was saying, listen, I'm hurt by you bringing this home. It doesn't feel good that you brought these flowers home. I felt like these flowers meant a bit more, right? When you accept those flowers, it feels disrespectful to me. That's what that needs to be said. We need to get better at explaining how we feel. We need to get better at actually explaining what's on our mind. And I've spoken about this before, emotional regulation and dealing with our emotions. We must be able to understand them, process them, and express them. When we can't express our emotions, we find ourselves behaving out those emotions, which are never usually positive. When we can't process, we shut down. When we can't understand, we feel crazy. It's important to deal with emotions. All right. Next part. She was feeling some type of way, so she told him, listen, calm down. She didn't want him to go any, didn't want him to get too escalated. And then she let us know that when he gets angry, he starts to get mean, right? And this is a fear-based response, which is perceived by disrespect and hurt feelings. When you're hurt and you feel disrespected, you can go into a place of fear-based response where you start to act out what I call a win-lose situation. As Dr. Nicole put it, going to the mat rather than the table. If you really are about winning as a team, I'm not trying to go to the mat. I'm trying to go to the table. And when we get to the table, we negotiate. We try to let each other know this is how I'm feeling, right? And soon as he didn't do that, he became mean, right? And we knew that because then she had to eat the leftovers. He had a salmon out there, huge salmon, which he's not eating by himself for sure. And she asks, okay, what are you doing with the salmon? And he goes, well, I'm eating the salmon. And in the end, she actually ends up eating the leftovers. Now, this is the problem. He don't respect you because you don't respect your boundaries, right? And number two, he's disrespectful for ever taking it to a place where you're not getting no salmon. I want to make it very, very clear for any ladies too, because some of y'all are just like Otis. You get vexed and say, well, dinner ain't getting served tonight. I don't know what you're going to eat, but I'm going to eat the salmon. And yet you're looking at this man right now and going, he's so mean for doing that. You're the same person. Make sure you ain't that person, Make sure you're not that person, that you're doing the exact same thing that Otis is doing. You're frustrated and hurt by what the person did. You ain't getting no salmon tonight. Boy, I don't know about you, right? Suddenly you realize how bad it is. We cannot be given into these particular thoughts. It becomes manipulative as a way to try and get the person to do what we want. All right. Listen, you are going to cook the salmon, cook on a meal, and tell her how you feel. That's how we do things as adults. We let people know how we feel. We communicate. We say what's on our mind without trying to hurt the person. Love without truth without love is cruelty. I always say this, right? So she ended up, having leftovers. And I said this as well in my notes. Women sometimes do this with sex. Like, I'm not having sex. All right, cool. Yeah, I get it. You're angry. You're frustrated. Okay, cool. I get it. Sex is probably a bad example, but I'm talking about the fact that the usage of power, right? The denial of something, right? Sex is probably a bad analogy as an example in this case. Let me leave it as I had it before, innit? Ignore what I said. We'll use another example. Okay. So, I should have left it as a cooking thing. Yeah, apologies. That was a bad analogy. Okay. you know, I really believe that he thinks that she's doing it on purpose. And that is why his actions are being hostile, because he's now treating her like an enemy. And so sometimes we say this particular phrase, we say, tell your partner, I am not your enemy. And we say that because we want the person to remember, don't treat me like an enemy. I am your partner. When you treat me like an enemy, we both lose, because it goes to a win-lose situation. How do you treat your enemy? You destroy them. You annihilate them. You get rid of them. There is no enemy that you're trying to keep as a close friend. You know what I'm saying? So you got to make sure that you're not seeing your partner as the enemy, but you're seeing them as your partner. This is very, very key. All right. And so I put down in my notes when I said emotional danger. Go take a shower because you're dirty. This can't be ignored. And she fought back and said, that's not nice, whatever, but it cannot be ignored. Okay. Go take a shower because you're dirty. At the point and moment of when he said it, he knew exactly what he was trying to say. Right? It wasn't her being physically dirty. It was about her being dirty in general. Right? Emotionally. Oh, you went with another guy? You dirty. Right? A guilt trip, making her feel bad about herself. You know, trying to basically guilt trip her back into thinking the way he's thinking. He wants you to think the same way he's thinking. He wants you to accept his way of thinking, his viewpoint, nothing else. It's emotional danger, because when you get to that space, you can't really think for yourself. They're going to cause you to think like they do, right? And so his words are tit for tat, but they're actually power grabs. His words are to level the playing field, to make her feel some type of way, so that so that she can bow and bend and follow his particular lead. It is an Armstrong move. It's a strong arming move to try and get the person to follow one's lead and understand where they're coming from. Be very careful of those kind of things. I don't like it, because I think this is how it escalates. But I want to watch him and see for the next few weeks. But that, for me, if you even watch her body language, how she's so standoffish and how he's not even looking at her most of the time as well. That is how the fight happens, when people are not even engaging with facial contact. That's another reason why things escalate. When I'm looking at you, it creates a certain look. It creates a certain atmosphere. When I'm close to you, it creates a certain atmosphere in a particular way, right? So all those little things, the little diamond nuggets, they add up. So unfortunately, I'm not with Otis trying to, dominate his wife. And she has to see things the way I do. And if not, I'll strong arm her to see it. That's not how we do things in relationships. It's unhealthy. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, and you click on that bell button for notification of uploads. We appreciate you guys. Stay locked and stay loaded, baby.